was sleep deprived. I misspoke. That's Senator Clinton's mischaracterization of her trip to Bosnia in a speech 9 days ago. Yet in our fourth story on the countdown, and the two other times she misrecounted the trip, chronic sleep deprivation, continuing through Monday when she clarified her recollection, which turns out also to have been inaccurate. And if she was, is she really the best candidate to be picking up the phone at 3 a.m. in the White House? In her book, Living History, Senator Clinton clearly described her visit to Tuzla Air Force Base in 1996, saying that while she managed to meet with local children on the tarmac because of reports of snipers in the hills, the welcoming ceremony was cut short. Yet in December of last year, her account had already changed to something close to what we heard on St. Patrick's Day.
We landed in one of those corkscrew landings and ran out because they said there might be sniper fire. I don't remember anybody offering me tea on the tarmac when that was happening, but...
No offer of tea, just an offer of a kiss and a poem from the 8-year-old girl who greeted her. At the end of February, the senator misspoke again.
I remember particularly a trip to Bosnia where the welcoming ceremony had to be moved inside because of sniper fire.
She then repeated the anecdote again in the only misspeaking the campaign has officially acknowledged, the one on St. Patrick's Day.
I remember landing under sniper fire. There was supposed to be some kind of a greeting ceremony at the airport, but instead we just ran with our heads down to get into the vehicles to get to our base.
Even after footage emerged showing that none of that was true, no sniper fire, no running to cars, Senator Clinton still appears to be a little fuzzy on the facts. Here's how she clarified her account of the trip to Will Bunch of the Philadelphia Daily News.
I was told we had to land a certain way, we had to have our bulletproof stuff on because of the threat of sniper fire. I was also told that the greeting ceremony had been moved away from the tarmac, but that there was this 8-year-old girl, and I said, well, I can't rush by her, I've got to at least greet her. So I greeted her, I took her stuff, and I left. Now that's my memory of it.
Now, CBS News has unearthed still further footage from that same day, showing that Senator Clinton did not leave right after meeting the little girl, as she claims now after the misspeaking has been corrected, but instead hung around the runway, talking to soldiers and taking photos with a group of 7th graders who were also on the tarmac before she finally left in a military vehicle. As CBS pointed out, she put her head down to get into that vehicle. Joining me now, the Washington editor of The Week magazine, Bloomberg News political columnist, Margaret Carlson. Margaret, good evening.
Good evening, Keith.
I'll get to a couple of the Senator Obama misstatements that have been offered in response to this. They seem to have been finite things. This keeps growing. I mean, it grows backwards in time, it grows forwards in time. Does she now have to deal with not the Bosnia part of it, but the sleep deprivation excuse for the Bosnia part of it?
Well, you raise a good point there, because she's the one who's awake at 3 a.m. and able to handle a crisis. So the very reason that she's been exaggerating what actually are, legitimate, successful First Lady trips into something more is to justify saying that she, and by the way, Senator McCain, are ready to be Commander-in-Chief, but by the way, Senator Obama's not ready.
At what point does repeated misspeaking become lying? To use the technical terms of this campaign, is there a lying threshold test?
Well, I'd have to go back to my Catholic high school, Keith, and find out. The fact that in that one prepared speech, her staff saw it, and they must know the facts, or didn't question the facts, especially since it's all laid out in Living History, her book. And once they knew that there was a tape, to keep, coming up with excuses. I mean, I exaggerate, you probably exaggerate, I don't want to accuse you. Oh, Keith, you should have seen the traffic coming over here. But we don't, I let it go, especially if somebody's going to question me. And Senator Clinton doesn't let go. Now, some people may think that shows what a fighter she is, and some people may think all of this exaggeration, they don't see it as exaggeration. They say, oh, she is ready to be Commander-in-Chief, but I think more people are going to wonder whether she's ready to tell the truth. But the Bosnia story looks as if the embellishments, the only thing you could say is that she embellished the story as time went on, and maybe she came to believe them. But she's so intent now because of having to distinguish herself not just from Obama, but in some ways from Senator McCain, who truly does seem much more qualified to be commander-in-chief, that having been first lady and having traveled a lot and having played, it's no longer enough. She has to have been a virtual vice president. And by the way, not a vice president going to funerals, a real vice president like Dick Cheney running things and making policy when there's no evidence. She didn't have a security clearance. She never went to a national security meeting, no intelligence briefings. So there's not a lot to support it. So she's in a hole. I mean, she's dug a hole now, and I don't know. She's made that standard for herself, and I don't know how she gets out of it.
Yeah, when it's too dangerous to send the president, you send the first lady, because you never know.
And their only child.
Right, and you know, because you never know how dangerous bad poetry can be. Margaret Carlson of Bloomberg News and The Week magazine. Thank you, Margaret.
You know, when he ran for office, he promised change, didn't he? He promised change as a compassionate conservative, and the American people got shafted, and we're going to have to make up for all that we have lived through the last 7 years. So, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Hillary's list of lies. The USA Today Gallup survey clearly explains why Senator Hillary Clinton is losing. Asked whether the candidates were honest and trustworthy, Senator John McCain won with 67%, with Senator Barack Obama right behind him at 63%. Hillary scored only 44%, the lowest rating for any candidate for any attribute in the poll. Hillary simply cannot tell the truth. Here's her scorecard. Admitted lies. The lie. Chelsea was jogging around the Trade Center on September the 11th, 2001. The truth. She was in bed watching it on TV. The lie. Hillary was named after Sir Edmund Hillary. The truth. She admitted she was wrong. He climbed Mount Everest 5 years after her birth. The lie. She was under sniper fire in Bosnia. The truth. A girl presented her with flowers at the foot of the ramp. The lie. She learned in the Wall Street Journal how to make a killing in the futures market. The truth. It didn't cover the market back then. Whoppers she won't admit. She didn't know about the FALN pardons. She didn't know that her brothers were being paid to get pardons that Clinton granted. Taking the White House gifts was a clerical error. She didn't know that her staff would fire the travel office staff after she told them to do so. She didn't know that the Peter Paul fundraiser in Hollywood in 2000 cost $700,000 more than she reported it had. She opposed after at the time. She was instrumental in the Irish peace process. She urged Bill to intervene in Rwanda. She played a role in the 90s economic recovery. The billing records showed up on their own. She thought Bill was innocent when the Monica scandal broke. She was always a Yankees fan. She had nothing to do with the new square Hasidic pardons after they voted for her 1,412, and she attended a meeting at the White House about the pardons. She negotiated for the release of refugees in Macedonia, who were released the day before she got there. With a record like that, is it any wonder that we suspect her of being less than honest and straightforward? By Dick Morris and Eileen McCann. Thursday, March the 27th, 2008.
Fool me twice, shame on me. Hillary's commander-in-chief problem. It isn't that they can't see the solution. It is that they can't see the problem.